We're in the beautiful rolling hills of South Carolina, and the house up there belongs to one of the greatest Grand National stock car drivers in history. A man has won over 100 Grand National stock car races. And on his property is a unique old building. It's an old gas station and general store. And like the man who owns it, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Come on in while we meet the Gray Fox, David Pearson, on The Great Drivers. With 105 Grand National victories to his credit, David Pearson ranks second only to Richard Petty in NASCAR wins. A brilliant stylist and tactician, Pearson has won on all types of tracks in all kinds of cars, from the moment he electrified the sport in 1961, when, as a relatively unknown youth from the Spartanburg, South Carolina short tracks, he beat NASCAR's best in the grueling World 600 at Charlotte, North Carolina. Now racing a limited schedule, Pearson is working to advance the racing careers of his three sons, Larry, Ricky, and Eddie, all of whom live near his expansive country home, complete with a private airfield outside Spartanburg, South Carolina. You know, you got to wonder if folks that built this old grocery store ever imagined it'd be full of Grand National trophies from all over the United States.
Well, I don't think they really figured they'd be there. Of course, it used to be a grocery store back then, you know.
What did you set out to just make a trophy room out of it, or what were you going to do with it?
When I started, come in here, I was going to make a playroom out of it, you know, have the pool table and pinball machines and things in it. And, of course, we felt like it would be a good place to put the trophies. And as you see, I haven't really finished it up yet, but...
well, you've been building a lot of other stuff around the place.
I really had time, yeah.
You know, of all of them, this little guy over here, that must be a story behind that one.
Well, this one is come from Mountain View Speedway over in Cowpen, South Carolina. I think that this is one of the first ones that I ever, you know, got. And you can't imagine how hard it and everything I've done trying to get this one little trophy right here, you know, on the first one.
When in those days, did you race for money and for trophies? Did you get a little money as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, back then, I'd been doing it for, you know, for a pretty good while, I guess, you know. And, of course, it wasn't very much. And when I first started, I knew that we'd always go to, like, Woodruff on Saturdays afternoon, you know, and they would make up money. And they'd take up donations and stuff like that for everybody. And the one that would win, it would make more money. I think my first race, I took in about $13 or something like that. I run second in the heat, and I think third in the main, my first race.
How much would it cost you to build a car in those days to get out on a racetrack?
I probably didn't have over $150, $200 in mine, to tell you the truth.
But that little trophy.
Oh, I wouldn't have took $1,000 for it then. Well, of course, I wouldn't now, but you can't imagine how much money and how hard I tried, you know, to win the first trophy.
Boy, all those trophies in there, and we got 28 cents a gallon gasoline out here. Life is good, huh?
Yeah, you can tell that that's the whole pump. I wish it was 28 cents a gallon now.
How far is Whitney Mills from here?
I would say it's right around probably 5 miles from here.
That's where you were raised?
That's where I was raised and grew up at, yeah.
That's where you went to school, right?
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Well, of course, everybody asks me about where did I finish school, and I say WMU. That's where I went to school at college, and they say, where's that? And I say, Whitney Mill University. I just went to the 9th grade, really.
Whitney Mills was, there was a textile mill there?
It's a cotton mill, yeah.
Cotton mill?
It's just a mill village. That's where I was born and raised.
And the family worked in that mill?
Yeah, uh-huh.
And you probably, did you say one way or another, I'm not going to ever end up there? Or?
You know, I worked in the cotton mills for about 3 months.
Did you?
Yeah, and I guess that's about all I could stand of it. I knew right then the inside wasn't for me, and I had to get outside. You know?
Better to sit in a hot race car than in a hot textile mill, huh?
Well, I think of course, it wasn't quite as hot in the textile mill, but it was at the time, you know, I guess I felt like it was a little too hot in the mill for me.
How many acres you got here, David?
I got 67 right here.
Now, the airfield's over there in a hangar behind the house.
Right.
And I see you got some tractors and graders and stuff. Did you make the airfield and all?
A lot of it. You know, when I first came here, it was all swampy like down the bottom and trees and everything and a big hill on the end. So I just cut the hill down, you know, had it and built a lake and everything down there and made the runway. And of course, I just texted across the dam and come up to the, you know, up to the hangar. But I've always wanted a place out, you know, where I could keep the airplane and have everything right here at one spot. So
it is just beautiful. It must be terrific here in the summertime when it's...
In the summertime, it's really nice.
You get any sightseers coming out here to see you?
Quite a bit, you know, especially in the summertime, like right after a race, I can come in, you know, and right, of course, if I fly, it don't take me very long to get home, you know, and especially after a race, I can see a lot of cars coming by and people, they'll take pictures of the place and all that stuff, but I really like it out here.
Yeah. You don't mind being a celebrity, do you?
Well, I don't really feel like I am a celebrity, but it makes you feel good to know that people think enough of you, you know, to come out and take pictures and things like that. And yeah, I like it. And anybody that say they don't like the publicity or read the name in the paper, something wrong. They like it. They're just trying to hide it. But I really do like it.
Yeah. It must. When did it all start to really come together in terms of when you really knew you had it made in this business?
You know, I was real lucky. The second year that I even got into the business, the Grand National business, was in 1961 when Ray Fox went to Charlotte and he didn't have a driver to run his car. And of course some of the Cotton Owens and Bud Moore and some of the other guys told him that, you know, they thought that I could do the job. They ought to give me a chance at it. And of course I went to Charlotte and won the race, you know, and that just really put me right up, you know, right there, you know. And I won the pace car and I just couldn't believe that, you know, I think I won about $30,000 or something like that, 25.
That's a lot of money.
And of course I didn't get all that, but I went and bought me a house, and that's where I won the first, you know, got the first house that I had, and I owe a lot to racing. In fact, everything I got it in racing, and so it's been really good to me. It really has.
This spread really is all owed to automobile racing.
Everything to racing. In fact, we grew up very poor. I mean, we didn't do that in the mills, but like I say, we grew up on a mill hill, and we always had plenty to eat, but that was about it. We was happy and everything, and of course, I still feel about the same way.
It must be real nice to know, though, that your boys will never have to face hard times like you did when you were a kid.
Well, I don't know now. I'm not that well off.
Not guaranteed, huh?
But no. But you know, it is good to know that you know, they want to get into racing. Of course, they do hit me. They work the pit crew. You know, and Ricky, Miller boy, is the crew chief on the car. He changed tires and things. And Larry, you know, he act like it to start with. I tried to discourage him in the racing. I didn't really feel like it.
Why did you do that?
Well, I wanted to make sure that he really wanted to do it, you know, because I feel like if you want to do something bad enough, you can do it.
Right.
And I kept trying to say him not to do it. He wasn't really interested in it enough to do it, but he kept on, and so now he's running the sportsman races, and I'm right proud of him. He's doing pretty good. So I feel like everything's going to work out pretty good.
It's interesting. I've talked to a lot of successful drivers whose sons have thought about it, and a lot of them react the same way as you. They're not sure whether it's going to be hard enough, whether they're going to have the challenge that you had to start.
Well, that's true. You know, a lot of people, he kind of felt like he had to do real good because I did, which that's not true. I kept telling him that. You know, that's not the way to look at it. Just do the best he can at anything he does. You know, always try to be the best at it. And like I said, I tried to discourage him to start with, but he kept on, and so now it looks like he's going to make it.
He's Is there a lot of support in the family, and does Helen and Mom and everybody?
Of course, my mother, every time I talk to her, say I got to leave, go to a race or something, she said, "Why don't you quit?" You know, she's always.
Is that right? She always said that.
I always said that. She said, "It's time for you to quit. You know, you need to quit, and before you get hurt." And of course, if I ever looked at it that way, I probably would. But you know, you don't look at it that way. You always look at the good side instead of the bad side of it.
Well, you've been lucky too. You never have.
I have. I've been awful lucky. I've never, knock on wood, I've never had a bone broke, and I've never been taken to the hospital on account of a wreck or something like that. So I've been really lucky.
Well, of course, it's one thing about Grand National Stock Car racing is the cars are safe and
They
the
are.
racing's safe.
And anytime you have a wreck, NASCAR looks at it, and if they see any way that they can make it more safer, they change the rules where we can do, something for safety.
Speaking of safety, let's go inside. Let's get a little cold. The fire's burning in there. We'll be back with more with David Pearson and the great drivers after this. David, I've been here on just less than a day. I've done a little census. I see 2 airplanes, whole bunch of bulldozer, graders, tractors, a couple of cars, a lot of toys around here.
Yeah, but you didn't see how much is still owe on them. That's the main thing.
Airplane you use a lot, huh? That's not a toy.
Well, the one of them I do. I go to races in them and everything. But the breezy one that we was taking pictures of there, that's more or less just for fun. Summertime airplane, just to have fun with it.
Just who do you fly? If it's got 2 seats on it, who do you fly with?
About everybody around here. When I get that thing out and start flying around and blowing a horn at people and stuff like that, it don't take about 15 minutes to have the whole place full. Everybody comes in and wants to ride on it.
How about the big airplane? You can get anywhere you want to go. You go to all the races with that?
Well, most of them. I really do, except, of course, now I don't run the West Coast, but when I was doing that, I would always go commercial. But most of them right here, yeah, I go in there.
You got any cars?
A few, 1 or 2.
Save any old ones, only old favorites, anything like that?
Really, the only old car I got now is Torino that I had back when I drove for Ford in the Holman Woody days. The blue and gold one. I still got it out in the barn and everything. But
it's funny. It seems like Grand National drivers as a group tend to stay pretty close to their roots, and their families tend to stay around them.
Well, I'm sure that they do. Of course, most of them have been in it a long time, and of course, if you run all the races, you're with, all of them every weekend, because there's some kind of race every weekend. And it like you said, it's just like one big family. And of course, while the drivers out there fighting their heads against each other, their families is probably together in the pits, or in the garage here, mingling around together. So it is just like all one big family. It really is.
You have other drivers that you consider your friend?
Well, I feel like all of them. I'm not real close to them, but we're friends. And I don't know the one, or don't even know one that I'm not friends with. Of course, you like to say that while you're out there running with them that you'd want to be friends, But we still, get neck to neck every once in a while. But and we argue and fuss a little bit. But after it's all over with, you really hate to say anything about it because you will be together, just next week or two.
So it's really kind of
just like a family. You just fuss and fight and make up 10 minutes later.
You had Bobby Isaac, though, who's now gone, was a real close friend of yours.
He was. In fact, I started out on the short tracks, dirt tracks with Bobby, and he was kind of a loner, stay by himself and things, and he wouldn't talk to people, so I just make him talk to me. I'd go up and make him talk, and we got to be real close friends, and it really hurt me, when he did pass on. But I don't think I want to get that close to another one. Not a driver like that.
But he wasn't killed in a racing accident.
No.
A lot of guys don't get close to other drivers because of that aspect of it. But
they've been a lot of them killed or fall out of race. You want to beat them all as far as that goes, but you don't want anything like that to happen. To them, or you don't want them. You hate to see them wreck, but when you see them that they are all right, it makes you feel good that you don't have to race with them no more of that race, or something like that. And you're glad that you go beat them. But as far as getting hurt or anything like that, no, you don't want that. You'd a whole lot rather beat them and them doing it their best.
You're backing off a little bit from running the whole Grand National schedule, and you're looking at what are you filling your time with anything else away from racing, or are you still concentrating almost full-time on racing with the boys now?
Full-time racing, really, because like Larry now, he's running more sportsman races than ever. And when I'm not going to the Grand National races, I go to the sportsman races with him. So I'm still involved with it the whole year round.
Would you say, as Larry assumes more of the driving role in the Pearson family, will you remain say, become more the manager of the team? Do you foresee that in the future?
Probably. That's what I guess that's probably what I'm working for, you know, for the kids is to keep them in racing. They're trying to get it set up for them so they can, you know, keep on going. And so I feel like if they can do that, I've achieved something, and it's something for them too.
Yeah. So there's a ongoing motive to staying in racing for the family overall.
Yeah.
Huh?
When I started in racing, you know, I have my own shop and things, and so I just done that, and you know, and I started out with a place just to work on my own stuff and all. Then I got a sportsman car and got to playing with that. And you know, it's a good thing for them to do.
Are you a
know.
good mechanic?
Well, no, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I was a mechanic. I'm trying to learn how to be a mechanic, you know, or something.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know the basic things about a car, but as far as building racing engines and stuff like that, I don't do that, you know.
Yeah.
But what makes a car work and things like that, I know, I feel like I know, you know, quite a bit about that. And that's the key in the racing. The driver has got to be able to get on a racetrack and try the car out and come back in and tell the mechanics what to do. The mechanics can't look at that car going around the racetrack.
You were good at that, weren't you?
Well, I always got by. I fooled a lot of people if I didn't, but you know.
But you were known as a good tester and a guy that could set cars
I've always
up.
done pretty good. I know, like with Leonard Wood and the people I've worked with, I was with them, you know, for quite a while, and we won races, you know, with everybody I've ever been with. In fact, the only races I haven't won was this past year. It was the worst year I've ever had in racing, you know. And of course, myself and the boys and all worked on the car and everything. But it wasn't really. I don't feel like it's something that we was doing the reason we wouldn't win in, but we had mostly engine problems last year. We fell out an awful lot of races, and 90% of it was engine problems. So, and even this year coming up, we've got changed around a little bit and got more combinations of engines. So, I feel like this year's going to be a lot better.
Is the inner fire still there as far as you're concerned?
Well, yeah. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing it. You know, of course, the ego of trying to win and do winning, and like I said, and for the boys too, working on the crew, it's a family affair thing, and by them doing crew work and crew chief and stuff like that, and working on the car, and it's learning now more and more every year. So I feel like that's the key to the whole thing, you know.
You're a lucky guy to have 3 sons that want to stay as close to the old man, really.
We are close. We really are. They just like as much like a friend as they are, you know, the family. We do a lot of things together, and we're just, I guess, about as close as any family could get. We work together all the time, you know, and even after working hours, if I go somewhere, even they want to go somewhere, they always invite me to go or something like that, you know, to go with them, and we have a lot of fun together.
I want to talk to you about one special trophy when we come back. We'll be back with more with David Pearson and the great drivers after this. David, this is not exactly what you call your conventional racing trophy, but it's got some special meaning for you, right?
It really has, and of course, I guess that this means about as much to me as any of them. That was a pair of shoes that I wore for a couple of years, which was a pair of alligator shoes that I had. And when it got too bad and started tearing and stuff, I just started racing in them. And you can see where I had double soles put on them and everything, you know,
right,
so the heat wouldn't get to it. And of course, I wore them, and I guess I won more races with that pair of shoes than any of I've ever, you know, won.
This was with the Wood brothers, right?
With them. And of course, I just finally threw them away. They got so bad, I threw them away, and of course, I thought they was gone. And then it was either one Christmas or birthday or something, and my wife come handed me this, that she had pulled them out of the trash and had it pewtered or whatever you call it, you know, and fixed on this for me and give it to me.
That was something like, what, like 11 victories or something one year that you had in Grand National Racing?
One year was 11 super speedway races, I think it was, and they had it down in the money that I had won with the shoes, but it was close to $1 million, I think, overall.
Well, I can see why she pulled it out of the trash.
She thought I better keep it. You can see where it was, you know, where
a little burn back there,
and all
was it?
this stuff, and
boy,
everything.
That's the kind of stuff that the memories that come to you from this sport that you just can't buy, can you?
That's
Can't
true.
do
In fact, it was so good that if it wasn't so hard, I believe I'd try to wear it again.
Yeah, you could. Maybe you could melt that stuff down and get it back to where it was. You know, you're probably the only race driver that ever could afford to run in alligator shoes.
Well, I don't know about that. But it just seemed like it. A lot of drivers get special shoes, and I'd always just take a pair of my old shoes that was, you know, getting pretty bad, and I'd always just have them half-soled or put double soles on the bottom and wear them.
I'll tell you, the way you drove, and still do drive, with these things, I think a lot of guys thought maybe this part of it was made out of lead, because whatever they were, they sure help you put the old pedal to the metal.
Well, it did, and of course, like I said, it's kind of heavy now, so that's what I was getting at. Maybe I ought to go back and wear it again.
Don't melt it down, huh? Yeah. Hey, we want to thank you for letting us come into your house and showing us around the place, and we sure hope that we get a chance to come back and see you in Spartanburg
Well, I
again.
appreciate it. I appreciate you taking time and, you know, coming by and doing this. I really do, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, thanks, David.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us today with David Pearson on The Great Drivers.